It's a real short thing that the Apostle Paul writes this week that I found really interesting. It says, "Be careful how you live, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of the time." Making the most of the time that we have. Making the most of every day. And so I put on Facebook again, just like last week. I said, how do you make the most of your day? How do you make the most of your time? And last week when I said, what makes you angry, I had 90 responses. I said, how do you make the most of your time? I had like 10, which says to me that we're more cognizant of what makes us angry than how we actually make the most of our life. So I thought, well, that's something I should talk about then. How do you make the most of your time? Some answers were really good ones. Like, I laugh. Try and laugh every day. And I thought, yeah, humor is such an important part of life. It's important to laugh every day. Someone said to tell the people that I love them every day. To share your thoughts and your feelings with people because you just never know when they're going to be called home. So those are all good ones. But there's three specifically that I've come up with that the actual text today tells us that I think are really important. And the first one, I think, is to challenge yourself every day to make the most of your life. Challenge yourself to do something. And I'm always inspired by the story of Karen Hurtado. Where are you, Karen? Sitting over there. Karen Hurtado started running when she was 49 years old and has now completed 7 marathons and is training for her 8th this winter, right? At Disney World. How cool is that? I mean, I'm 35 and I think to myself, I'll never be a runner. I'm too old now. I'm too out of shape. And I think, well, if Karen Hurtado had started at 49, maybe I can be a runner. So she challenged herself physically. I actually do challenge myself. It's just I like to lift weights, and so I'm challenging myself to certain goals. My goal is to bench 400 pounds by next summer. So that's my challenge. My mom thinks it's ridiculous, and she thinks it's really stupid, and she thinks I should be running like Karen. But anyway, I challenge myself on the golf course. A lot of golfers in here. Challenge yourself to get better. And, it's not even what the scorecard says. It's, can I challenge myself to hit the ball a little further, a little straighter, or hit a draw or a fade or anything like that. But I know there's a lot of musicians in here. And I know that, Linda Pileggi, very nicely done today. Thank you so much. And Susie, thank you so much. But I listened to you and I realized that you at some point in your life challenged yourself to be a better musician, to be a better singer. And I know that people in this congregation have challenged themselves musically for the sake of music ministry. And for kids going back to school, they get a chance to challenge themselves mentally, to learn more, to be a better student, to master arithmetic, to master science, to master the English language, which I wish I did when I was your age. Work. You always have a chance to challenge yourself at work, to learn a new skill, to do something better, to do something more, to learn a new language. But I realize all that being said, the Bible doesn't really talk about that today. But there's a challenge in the psalm today for each of us, that each of us can hear and do. Verse 14, turn from evil and do good. That is your challenge from God, to do good, to be better, to go out and to find somebody in need and to help them, to find somebody who might not even be in need, but just maybe could use a little help and help them. I grew up, my best friend in life grew up right next door to me. We met each other when we were less than a year old. We rode big wheels together. We played baseball together. We swam together. We did everything together. And his mother was working out with the local Little League. Some of you might have heard the story before. And she said, how can my time really be used well? And she said, what need is there out there? And she saw that there were handicapped children who wanted to play baseball. And there wasn't a league, there was nowhere for them to play. And so she said, I'm going to start a Challenger Little League here in this area. And she found the kids, and she found volunteers to help because everyone has a buddy when they're going around the bases and everything. But then she said, it's really hard for these leagues to find fields to play in. And so she said, you know what, we're going to build a field just for them. And so she found the property, and she found the funding, and she went to corporate sponsors, and she went to the Detroit Tigers, and they built a field just for these kids so that their wheelchairs can get around the bases, and she ended up getting an award as the Michigander of the Year. She threw out the first pitch at the Detroit Tigers game in the Little League World Series in Williamsport, all because she was sitting at home one day and said, what good can I do with my time? She made a huge difference in the lives of kids who are disabled. And I think the challenge is out there for all of us. What good can we do? The second is right after the text says, turn from evil and do good, the next two words are seek peace. Seek peace. And pursue it, actually, it goes on to say. Pursue peace. Which means, resolve the conflicts in your life. That's the easy thing that we read it into. But that's really not what the Greek means. The Greek means that and more. It means find the things in life that make you feel whole, that make you feel complete, that make you feel content, so that you're not wanting, so that you're not lacking, so that you don't sit around and think, man, I wish I had this kind of car, or I wish I had this kind of clothes, or I wish I had the new iPad, or I wish I had this, but just sit around and think, I have everything that I need. And a lot of the responses on Facebook were about this, about how do you make the most of your day? Being with the ones that I love the most. Craig Carcino, being with my children and wife and mother. I'm sorry, Patty, did he edit it later? Because I missed that one. I know he meant it, though. I know some of you love to travel, and so maybe you explore the world, you go out and you see different things, and you experience different cultures, and you eat different foods, and that helps you feel whole again. Some of you enjoy reading, love to just sit down and open a book, maybe meditation. I know that Catherine Saunders, who is now on intern pastor, is this her first Sunday up there? Second Sunday? She loves to meditate or worship. Come to church and worship. And I hope that this experience makes you feel whole. It makes you feel more complete than when you came in. Because life can be rough. There are days that just tear you apart, that tear me apart. There are days where my car literally drives itself to Krispy Kreme. And I am certain that the glazed topping is meant to pull your life back together sometimes. Because sometimes life is rough. And we need to know where we can find peace. We need to know where we can be made whole. And we need to pursue that as often as possible. And finally, give thanks. Ephesians says that, give thanks. And I know people wrote that on Facebook, that how do you make the most of every day? With gratitude. I think that was you, Diane. Giving thanks. It's easy to give thanks. Just, the easiest thing to do is just say thank you when somebody does something nice for you. Just say thank you. That's the first step. Just say thank you. But the next step is actually living a life of thankfulness, living a life of gratitude, living a life of response to the grace that God has shown you. It's really hard for us to understand this, but the forgiveness that God has for you is a free gift. The love that God has for you is a free gift. You don't even need to say thank you, but God gives it to you anyway. And the life that we live is a free gift. And if you want to make the most of today, be thankful for it, because each day is a gift from God. God has created today for you and given it to you to spend however you like. But the good news for the people of God is that if you don't make the most of today, you have tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, until, forever. That's the thing about eternal life, is it goes on forever, which means if today isn't your best day, you have tomorrow. Martin Luther was asked, if you knew the world was going to end tomorrow, what would you do, Martin? Martin said, I'd plant a tree. That's kind of an odd response. Why? Well, because the world never ends for the people of God. Eternal life means that there are a never-ending supply of tomorrows. And when we get to heaven, when we get to that eternal life, we'll find a place where we have everything that we need, where we have peace beyond our understanding. We'll feel complete in a way that we can't comprehend. The things in life that we've always longed for, like fat-free Krispy Kremes, will be surrounded by the goodness that has escaped us during life. Make the most of today. Enjoy your life, but realize the best is yet to come. Amen.